Waving, so get yourselves ready for your wave, because here we start. Oh, here it goes, and then I put the little video on. I can't show all of you yet. They're dancing. You can't see them, but they're dancing.
Hola, Fernando.
Well, good morning. I'm Rabbi Brian. You are you, and these are the people who are live in the Zoom room. Hi, this is people in the Zoom room.
Hi, people on Facebook and YouTube.
And there's some people watching this after the fact. Glad to see all of you who are here joining live. This is the Saturday service. I'm Rabbi Brian, and I wrote myself some introductory notes. So there. Oh, so I was talking to a Lyft driver, and he asked me what I do, and I had prepared this, and it fell really, really flat. But I thought it was a good answer. I wrote, hold on. Good. I wrote, I'm an author and a purveyor of fine spiritual religious self-help tools and toolkits. It's a little too esoteric. I'm a rabbi who seeks the religious boundary crossers and those chafed by organized religion. It's too heady.
Oh, I like that.
You like that one better?
That.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
I like the chafed bit.
Are these your event blog or bios?
These are just random thoughts that come into my head as I'm taking a lift.
Oh wow, that's deep for a lift.
Chafed is kind of an SAT word for a lift, I think.
Well, this is where I was. So welcome. We did have some homework that I left you guys with, and I thought I'd check in. Now, obviously, this is your spiritual life. You're an adult. You're not getting graded on the homework, but I'm just curious, is there something that you learned in the last week from doing homework that you want to share with people so that they too can learn what it is you learned? And we had two main homework assignments that I remember. One was answering the question, how are you, as though you actually thought about it. That was one homework assignment. And the other one was to see how you dealt with the other annoying people in the world. We had talked about how if somebody's microphone's hot, who's on, I don't think I'm going to get the grammar here right, but upon whom does the problem lay that you're annoyed with their microphone being hot? Lie. Upon whose guilt does... Now I can't get the whole sentence, Ron.
Whose problem is it?
Whose problem is it that you're pissed off? That's the question, folks. The question...
Barb.
Okay, so we had two homework assignments. One was, how are you? And to see how it was for a week to actually think about how you were going to answer it and see if you could get yourself to be vulnerable in answering it. And the second one was to see how annoyed you get at things that happen in the world and what you could do about it. So first of all, I like to see how many of you out there have hands. That's the easy question. You know the harder question comes next. Very good. How many of you have two hands? Okay, very good. How many of you have note paper next to you so that you can keep track of things that we talk about? Okay, I think that's a grand idea. And how many of you took at least one time, let's go, you did it at least twice in the last week where you thought about how you were and considered being vulnerable before answering? How many of you did that at least twice in the last week? All right, I really appreciate the honesty of all of those of you who didn't. Now the homework's required. It's not really. I can't require it. I can't require it.
Wait, does it once count?
All right, how many of you at least once contemplated being vulnerable this week? All right, we got a few more fingers waving in the air for that one. All right, extreme close-up on Rabbi time. Hi, me.
Hi.
Rabbi.
Hi, Rabbi.
I started playing the French horn. This is going to sound like a little bit of a and it is. I started playing the French horn at 49 mainly to prove that I could do it, because I really truly believe in neuroplasticity and that we can change things and we can learn.
Yeah.
If what we talked about last week was that we wanted to experiment with being more vulnerable, because it's only by being vulnerable that we find love. That I'm going to say it, and then I'm going to step gently away from it. You got to practice being vulnerable, people. You don't have to, right? Obviously, you don't have to. None of this is required. Okay, can I move on? We all right here?
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to another one, which was, how annoying did you find people in the last week? How many of you found people in the last week were more annoying than they were in previous weeks? How many of you found this to be they were really annoying this week? There was a good percentage of that seeming to be going on this week. It was a rough week. I don't know if there's an official index to know how things are easier or harder, but it was rough. Before I continue on, I got a few announcements. First, welcome. Oh, here's a little announcement, because last week I rejoined after the service to go to the poetry room, and that messed up all of the permissions. And then when somebody left, the deep dive room just got closed down immediately, and I apologize. There was no way to foresee that one happening. But we have this clubhouse, the ROTB online clubhouse, and you can always find people there. So I just want to give you a quick, if you're at the clubhouse and you look here, it says online now, and you click ROTB online clubhouse there, you'll find all the people who you lost at this service. And it's also just a nice place to go. And I'm going to put into the chat the address of, can somebody put in the mn.rotb.org?
I got it.
Thank you, Alex. Okay. Here was what I wanted to talk about. Last week, go to Clubhouse. Encourage you to have your cameras on. Thank you guys for having your cameras on. I appreciate that. And I wanted to encourage you to take notes, so I did that too. Last week, I did bad math. You guys remember that? There was a moment where I did bad math, and I wanted to come back to it, not to correct the math. I don't really care about the math. But there was this comment going like, wait, he was a math teacher? And I wanted to address that. I wanted to address that for a moment. Yeah, I was a brilliant math teacher. Does that mean that I was really good at math?
Modest too.
No. I got scores to back my lack of modesty here. But one of the reasons I was such a good math teacher is I'm good at math, but I'm not the best at it. And you don't need to know something perfectly in order to teach it. Yep. In fact, they've done studies, and they found that people who have master's degrees in mathematics teach poorer than people who don't have master's degrees in mathematics.
That's because they don't understand.
Exactly.
The learning process.
Exactly.
They can't understand why other people can't understand.
Exactly.
If you can't see how to do it wrong, you can't teach it.
Correct.
Oh.
It's all of learning is, and why I was a great teacher, and I still do, but I just changed in for math, is because you can't, people don't learn well in shame. And that's why it was a little awkward a moment ago when I was like, you guys need to do this thing. People don't learn in shame. Shame is really, really uncomfortable. And the fact that I would make mistakes on the board and the kids would go, hey, mister, it's a 3, not a 6. It made them feel better because I made mistakes too. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell one other tale was I would say to them, hey, look, if you're nice to me when I make a mistake, it makes it a hell of a lot easier for me to be nice to you when you make a mistake. Mm-hmm. So, all right, that carries us up about math teachers and mistakes.
I do have something to add to that.
Go, Bob, go.
You know what an expert is?
No, Bob.
It's a worn-out drip.
Expert. It's a worn-out drip?
Yeah,
An
an expert.
An expert.
Pert is a worn out pert.
Worn out
spurt.
drip.
Drip.
Expert.
Spurt.
You know, a drip is.
Oh, a
When
spurt.
spurt of water.
Yeah.
Expert.
Well, I'm glad that didn't derail at all. Okay, thank you, Bob. Here's a quote. I want us to look at this, and then we're going to have a moment of silence. If you dislike someone, the way they hold their spoon will offend you. But if you like them, they could drop a plate of food in your lap, and you wouldn't care. If you dislike someone, the way they hold the spoon will offend you. But if you like them, they could drop a plate of food in your lap, and we wouldn't care. Oh, this is one of my favorite quotes because of where it leads us to. But let's just start with the flat meaning of it. Bob does a pun. It's a good thing I like Bob. Right?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, Rob. You're right about that. If you
I
dislike,
like you too, Rabbi.
I like you, Bob. Good. We got that good. If you dislike someone, I mean, think about the person who's annoying to you. I bet everything they do is annoying.
Yep.
Their haircut is stupid because they're dumb. Their bag is like, why would you even use that as a bag when you should know better, that dummy? And the way they hold their spoon, Annie, I remember there was a moment, I don't know if you remember this, I hate to embarrass you, where you were complaining to me about one of your friends and the way she held her fork. Do you remember that? No? Okay. You did, and I was
Tell her
like,
to fork off.
Oh, there was a lot of echo on the fork off there, Rob. That was good. If you dislike someone, the way they hold their spoon will offend you. But if you like them, they could drop a plate of food in your lap and you wouldn't care. I got a lot of nods going on here. A lot of people, yeah, that seems about right. What would be, what's the application of this? If I mean, where is the annoyance here? The annoyance isn't in the way they hold their food or drop the plate.
It's your reaction to people.
It's your reaction to them. And then there's this question that surfaces, I think, in everyone's mind, which is, if that's in my mind, and ain't I supposed to be the person who tends to that garden?
Theoretically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the theoretically.
Yeah, theoretically. Theoretically. All right, I'm going to stick with theoretically. Theoretically, it is possible. Theoretically, it is possible that we have some control over whether or not other people are annoying. I'm looking at your faces here. Would you agree that at least theoretically, some, theoretically only, theoretically, some of how annoying other people are is in our domain.
Yes.
Yes? Can I get some hands? Yes? Okay, so I think, therefore, we should ignore it and do nothing about it. And just let people be as annoying. No, not that. That's not it.
No.
If we have at least... Say it again, Rob.
Let it go.
Let it go. Where are they annoying? In our head. Rob, you are excellent at not letting things stick there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a phrase that could have been taken really much worse than I meant it. Sorry, Rob.
That was a backhanded compliment.
Nothing.
I'm with you, Rob.
I had a stroke.
You did.
Oh, there it goes again.
All right. So we are at the annoyance is at least within us, and we should be able to do something about that. I guess I'm not gonna go further into it, I'm going to just take a minute to think about where we are and just to take a minute of silence. We're going to start when my clock here says 8:15. And if you do, I'm finding it really fun to go on to gallery view and just look at everyone's faces for the minute.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you guys. Welcome again. This is Religion Outside the Box, Rabbi Brian. I wanted to talk about something today, and it got sparked by some things that happened last week. Now, I don't know if you remember this. Oh, I was going to prepare a slide to show you. Kate, is there any, do you happen to have that video to talk about, or no? I
did not have a chance.
No worries, no worries at all. Not at all a problem. That was a nice to have, not need to have. So last week, here it is. I'm opening this document up. Last week in the service, I asked people, I said, look, hey, and let me see if I can share my screen now, number 6. There it is. Here it comes. So last week, I showed this. It's coming. I showed this spreadsheet. And this spreadsheet had different things that I've taught. Here are the 5 or 6 elements of a spiritual life. And here are all the different segments in which I taught it. Here's the difference between stimulus and response and all the different times I taught that. And there are all these different videos. And I want to be clear on the facts before we get to the other parts of it. I asked people, I said, hey, can you, I could use some help lifting because there's a lot going on here. Could I get a few people to just write in as I'm talking right now? Would you just type an email to me, because I know you're all on your screens anyhow, type volunteer, because I could use some people to help watch through these videos. And I got a total of, and please, I'm not looking for explanations. I'm just, there's a story here, and let me finish the arc. And I got exactly 0 emails back. Now, that's fine, because of where the story's going. But I will tell you, I finish the service, I upload the thing, and I look in my email box, and I'm so excited because I'm going to have all these people help me because I can't do this. And there's not even 1 email. And I think, those sons of bitches. It's just what I'm thinking. I don't believe it, but this is what I think, was they're so ungrateful. How dare they not? And I start on this whole thing. And I talked to someone else who was at the service. I said, I didn't get one volunteer. And they said, Brian, none of us think we're qualified to do that. None of us are going to write a thing. And I thought, oh, now there's a whole different story and explanation as to why. I like that story a lot better than the one I came up with. And I spoke to a third person, and they said, dummy. They didn't say dummy, but they said, they said, how are you expecting people to help you when so many of us have been burned by organized religion and doing something for the church, being asked to do something? That's a trigger. None of us are going to say yes. And now I have 3 explanations, and the worst one is the one I came up with.
Tons of pictures.
And I wanted to ask, how many of you have had that situation where something happened, she didn't call you back, and you know she didn't call you back because the way that you whatever that thing was that you didn't tuck your shirt into your pants and she was offended, but and you have that story going on, and you find out that there's probably another explanation. How many of us have had this situation? Yeah.
Long while ago.
And I asked about it because I was curious, and I asked my bride, and I was thinking because last week she gave us the hint about not taking in love because being loved is vulnerable and scary, and so I thought, hey, we're still gardening. This is what we did last week. Let me ask her. I said, why? Why do we do this? Why do we make these stories up that are the worst explanations for things? And Jane explained, and I thought this was pretty good. Well, there's a bunch of notes I took, and I'm just going to share with you what I have. 1, the best explanation we have is not always a good one.
Mm-hmm.
We could stop there. The best explanation we have is not always a good one. And it's sad because we're like, this is the best one I have and I'm going to spit polish it and I don't care if it's like 80% off. It's the one I have.
Yeah.
So first is, the best explanation we have is not always a good one. Second is that our brains seek safety and explanation. We want to know why things happen because we were evolved. And that's weird, like to say, but we were evolved to be on alert all the time. Because otherwise, you don't have good enough claws to make it out there.
Nobody does.
Nobody does. So we have to be on high alert a lot. And so something happens, we need an explanation to feel safe. Our brains tend towards negative biases. We see a few facts, and our brains assume we're not okay and tries to protect us from the worst case scenario. Because if that worst case scenario happens, we want to be ready. She said 2 other things. 1, here's this one. Here it is. When you hear there's a thing that happens, and then we hear an explanation as to why it happened. If you can, and you just take some Jedi skills, which, by the way, not to go harp on it too much, take practice. Okay, sorry. Is to practice hearing within yourself, where did I hear that story before? Where did I hear the story nobody wanted to help me before? Because it's not from this group. But boy, and then here's a thing that's so sobering. When you think you're right, boy, does it feel like you're right. It just feels like you're right when you're right. And why would you question where did I hear that before? Because it's just true. Okay. Here's the phrase Janie used. You yourself entered it into evidence.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
That's good.
It is good. I'm going to marry her one day.
Good idea.
Yeah. Back off. She's mine. Okay, so here that was great. So now, that being said, I just talked a lot, and I would love to hear back from you guys some of what, from your own abilities, from where you are. Go ahead, Alma.
This week, I had a great big moan to a very close friend about how I was not appreciated, how I was not allowed to do anything. I might as well be a goldfish in a bowl just to be looked at. Because every time I said I would do something, somebody else said, no, I'll do it. And this week, these last 2 weeks in particular, everybody has been very sensitive, obviously. And I had this big moan to my friend, and then I stopped and I thought, why are they saying it? It was particularly my older daughter. And then I suddenly realised that she needed to help and to do all the things that needed doing, really more than I needed to.
Right.
And then I felt all right.
Yeah.
Your original explanation was not. Isn't it so strange? This goes back to what we talked about mistakes. Is when you make that original assumption, you don't assume it was wrong. You don't assume the other one. Let me hear from some other people's.
I think
Go ahead, you. Yeah.
Thanks. I'm interested in the way we when we have a thought that we believe, whether or not it's accurate, we believe that thought, and then we will behave in such a way to reinforce that thought, even to create the actual scenario in the world that reinforces the belief. We create this environment. It's all self-created, and it was based on the original belief that we had, whether or not it was an accurate belief.
This goes back to Hugh. Help me out, because this brings me back to where we were a bit ago. Of what do we do with this quote? Like, how much of this is in our control? How much of this isn't?
Can I say one more thing about the quote?
Please.
I really like this quote. There's a metaphor that comes to my mind when I think about this quote, and I read it in a book years ago. I think something about what Christians can learn from Buddhists about suffering, or something like that. Anyway, the metaphor was really awesome, and he spoke about, it's like a projector, like a lens of a projector that shoots an image onto the wall, and there's a fleck of dust on the lens, but we see the image on the wall, the blotch, and we think that the problem is with the image, but the actual problem is with the scratch or on the lens, which is inside of us. Anyway, I find that a helpful image to remind me continually not to make assumptions, not to always believe my thoughts that the problem lay outside of myself, but I'll first look inside.
That's not easy to do. I think we could all agree with you, though. How many of us, at least in theory, agree with you that that there's a large lever inside that we should be pushing before we're tinkering with all the little ones outside? Right? We instinctively know that the most powerful thing that we have, that we can control in any situation, is in us.
Yeah.
So how do we get ourselves to like the way more? I think this goes back to last week. We talked about how to deal with impossible people a little bit. How do we start to like the way those assholes hold their spoons?
Ron had his hand up.
Yeah, Ron and then Al.
Oh, I would just put up an applause thing to reaffirm.
Okay. Al, thank you, Ron.
Yeah, I just think curiosity and love. Those are the two things I've learned a lot from you, Rabbi. Are things that really help me get out of my own head and into feeling real feelings and unencumbered feelings towards other people.
So, two of the paths you're talking about are curiosity and love.
Yeah.
And somebody else help me out. These are two tools that might help us with what? What is our? These are tools for
pretty much anything, but
say it again.
Pretty much anything.
They are for anything, but in this specific case, we're looking at curiosity and love to turn assholes into flowers. That's a big promise.
That's a big promise.
That's a metaphor.
It's a weird one.
Mixed metaphors.
I think that's what we're looking towards, right? Yeah, Barb.
I think we also have to be able to divest in being right.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
Yep.
that gives me back to this quote. That was last week's quote, which we never got to. So let's take a look at it. Last week we had a quote that said, "Yesterday I bent the truth to be kind, and I have no regrets, for I am far more aware of what is kind than is what is true." Here it is. "Today I bent the truth to be kind, and I have no regret, for I am far surer of what is kind than I am of what is true."
Yes.
Today I bent the truth to be kind. I have no regrets. I am far surer of what is kind than I am of what is true. Oh, you look great in that dress.
Thank you.
Bob?
I think I always want to be right.
Correct.
But I'm open to being wrong.
Yeah.
I always want to be right.
That's
but I'm
lovely. I
open to
like
being
how you're
wrong.
saying that. Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful. So, Barb, does this help us divest in being right? By
I think
being
it does.
kind? Okay, so if we are kind over being right.
Well, if you don't need to be right, then you can create space to hear what somebody's saying. But if you're stuck on being right, that's all you hear are things that either reinforce that or challenge it.
Okay, so here's a question.
I just want to say that sometimes I'm wrong about what is the kind thing to do.
Correct.
Because I conflate it with what I want to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Ron, very well said. Very well said. All right, so I'm going to give us a homework here.
Okay.
And I'm thinking about it because, hey, look, I have this whole outline of what I think we're going to talk about, but then you guys show up. And
We didn't muck about with it all. We mess it all up.
and it doesn't go
Sorry.
exactly this way. So we're going to get to kindness homework in a moment. But first, we're going to do... Oh, I know what we're going to do first. Hey, guys. I have a question. See this page here? I have all these videos that need to be watched. These are the simple thing. It involves clicking on a spreadsheet, picking a column, watching 1, 2. Well, this one's got 4 videos on patience, anger, and letting your mud settle. I'm sure this would not be useful for any of you to read or review. Not that's dripping with sarcasm. I would love. I'll put the link to this document in. All you need to do is at the very top, and I'll make it super clear. If you want that one, you're going to just put the best video up here at the top. You're going to put the best. Oh, you know what? Don't do this week because this is not ready for it. That's the other reason you didn't do it, because this is not ready yet. Okay. This is not streamlined and ready yet. Katie, did you try it? Do you have any feedback, or should we wait a week?
Let's wait a week.
Let's wait a week. Okay, good. Here's our God drop of the day. And then we're going to get back to kindness. I want you to imagine, this is letter K, because I did a whole series of, they're called God experiments, 26 thought experiments to declutter your thinking about God, or whatever name you want to call it. And they go all the way up through the alphabet, and letter K is this one. And I want you to think about it. If you were to get an email from God, well, first you have to think about which email address does God write to you at. Is it the one where did it go into junk? What is the subject line? So think about that for a moment. What is the subject line if God were to write you an email? And again, this doesn't have to fit your theology. I put the page. Oh, I'm going to try to put the link right there so you guys can all. Why can't I click on that, Alex?
And the link that you just posted was a link from your local hard drive and not from
Yeah, no, that's totally goofy. You see there at the bottom, can somebody type that in?
It's a picture.
Is that why?
Yeah.
Oh.
PNG.
Can somebody type into the chat bit.ly/capital God capital email. Thank you. So if you want to click on that, you'll get right to the same document that I'm. Was there a typo in that? Oh yeah, you did. Bye, Lee. Thank you, Lee.
I think the subject has got to be, no, really, it really is me.
Right. Okay. So no. Thank you. Thank you for playing. I don't want people's answers quite yet. But thank you for giving us one. I want you to think, what would the subject line be? And then in the email itself, there are 3 parts to every email. There's the opening salutation where it says, "Hey, you," or "beloved child," or I don't know how God addresses you in this fictional activity. This is a fictional activity. You only have to do it for about 5 minutes, and then you can totally theologically tap back into whatever your previous theology was. But just play along for a second. If God were to write you an email, the subject line would be blank. The beginning would say, "Dear," or however, or is it just a forward? Is God sending you a forward of some cat meme? I don't know. And then what's in the subject? What's in the main message? And then pay attention to how is it signed off. I'll be watching you. Like, I don't know what God's writing to you, but I'm going to give us a moment and put a time. Oh, I was going to put a timer on.
RB, that goes to a spreadsheet.
Good. Is that not the thing we want?
I don't know. I thought you were looking at a Google form. I was looking at a Google form and thinking, oh, you did it in a form, but it goes to a spreadsheet instead.
Okay, well, let's just do it as the spreadsheet for now.
Can't. It's only in comment mode.
Okay. Golly gee.
I just printed it from the link.
Okay, you can print it from the link. Or, guys, you have paper, pencils, and imaginations. There's nothing magic about this form. You can just write subject, colon, and then fill it in. It doesn't have to be on this way. So I'm going to put a clock up, and I'm going to give us a solid 5 minutes, and then we'll see how we are after that. To write your email from God, again, doesn't mean you have to believe that this is how God is. And I do a countdown timer, and I'm going to give us 5 minutes. 5.
Please use EasyViz app for device Wi-Fi configuration.
What?
Oh, there we go.
Take about a minute and a half more. All right, gang. Thank you all for doing along. I know sometimes that brings up some feelings that people were not expecting to come up. How many of you had a feeling that how many of you were a little bit surprised about what happened? What you wrote? Anybody a little bit surprised? A little bit. And do it like, and I'm don't share any more than you want to share, obviously, but if you were a 10th grade English teacher, you're looking at it and you look and you say, what's the tone of that piece? What's the tone of it? Do you feel comfortable enough to share what a tone of your piece was? What'd you have, Ron?
A helpful suggestion.
All right, helpful suggestion. What else did we get? Yeah, Candace?
Caring and loving.
Caring and loving. Anyone get like stern and foreboding? Yeah, there were some of those. Okay.
I'm absolutely paralyzed by this assignment.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm glad.
A quarterly time extension.
A time extension.
Quarterly time extension.
Okay. That was a subject line?
Yeah.
Quarterly time extension. That's kind of cheeky and foreboding at the same time.
Your quarterly time extension has been granted. Use it well.
Oh,
that's fantastic.
Oh, wow. I love that. Annie has her hand up.
Yes, Annie.
My tone was aggressively protecting.
Aggressively protecting.
Oh, wow.
Do you want to share some of what you wrote? You don't have to.
Sure. Well, I decided that God's email is gmail.com.
Okay.
Oh.
Well gendered. How proud I am.
Okay. I have to make this quick because I am God and I have lots of things to do. And also my data for this month is about to run out. Stop thinking about all the bad things in the world and start thinking about the good. Your family has you safe and I will try extra hard to keep you extra safe.
Sweet. That's lovely.
And then the address is the sky.
Oh, hi. That's
love it.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I have nothing to say here because I'm busy tearing up.
I saw that.
Aw.
I'll share what mine said. Mine said, remember that people love you. And this reminded me of something Hugh taught us a few weeks ago. Mine says, remember that people love you. Be kind to yourself when you think otherwise. Those are the times when you need the love. And what else do people have they want to share? Is there something else you feel a real push to share? Yeah, Candace. And then Rita.
Well, I don't feel, well, I guess I'd felt pushed to share or I wouldn't be sharing. Okay, my email from God, I just had the email address as god.etr. ETR is short for eternity. Subject, and it's to my personal email. The subject line is your question. And the email reads, Dearest Candace, thank you so very much for your question. So many people have asked me, why do we have to die? The answer is simply this: it's time. Your mother has lived a wonderful and varied life, much more than many others. I know you are proud of her, as I am. I know you love her, as I do. When she leaves you, I will surround you with love and care, as I will with her. I will always be with you and love you. Love, God.
Amen.
Beautiful. That's good.
Save that one.
Thank you for sharing that,
Yeah.
Candy. Oh boy,
really.
I just went.
Oh dear.
Sorry
She is
about that.
dying right now. I saw her yesterday, and there's nothing left to do.
Yeah.
And I tear up, and at the same time, I was able to just let it go because that's just the fact of the matter.
Yeah.
And I can be sad about it, and I can visit her, and still have some good visits with her. So,
Amen. Amen. Well, Candace, we'll all hold you in our, if it's all right with you, everyone's holding you and your mom in our dear thoughts, and also add to that, your family, your grandson, and Axel, and think of our friend Jeffrey, who lost his dearest friend in the world, Richie, last week. And I don't know how prayers really work or don't work. I don't really care. Because I know that there's a sense of community in knowing that you're being thought of. So is there other people who they got they got a big thing going on? All right, we'll take those prayers. We'll keep them with us. Marcus, you have something to add? No? Okay, your mic was hot. I want to go back for a second. Oh wait, our 40-minute review. Forgot about that. What did we get so far today, dear ROT Beers? What kind of... Oh, I lost my screen. There's my screen. What are things that we're taking with us today? Things that you're going to remember. Things that will maybe wind up on the 2-bullet summary of the service, just possibly, because that seems to help. What's something you're taking with you today?
The best explanation is not always a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else do people get?
The story is not always what it seems.
Yeah.
don't believe everything you think.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm taking
Be kind instead of right.
Oh, wait, hold on to that for a second. Not right. But I lost the one right before it.
Don't believe everything you think.
Yeah. Thank you.
Just don't think.
No.
Okay. I liked it this way. Was divest in being right.
Yeah.
I feel like we got to do something with this though.
Yeah, yeah.
What are we? How are we gonna take this and put it into biscuit form so we can take it with us? What are we doing with this one?
Remember spoons
and
and plates.
spills.
Yeah. So it's a reminder.
How they hold their spoon, or is it just how you perceive how they hold their spoon?
Uh-huh.
Spoons and plates.
You can control what annoys you.
There you go.
Yeah.
Can I try this? Are they annoying or are you annoyed?
Annoyed.
Yeah.
I would say pay
Yeah.
attention. Pay attention
Yeah.
to what you're feeling, not to them.
To what's beneath it. Yeah.
I have a question. Did you train that ant to crawl across your paper?
Yeah, it was him. Huh?
I didn't see one. No. No.
Be nice.
Right.
Go ahead.
I have a different version. Instead of paying attention to what you're feeling instead of them, it seems to me it's sort of the other way around. Try and look past your feeling to actually see them. Because it's your feeling that's getting in the way of perception.
Right. It's all these stories we have. It's all this confirmation bias we have.
Yeah.
We get,
yeah, and it gets in the way.
It does. I thought of this once was if I were God and I had the job of trying to communicate with people, due to people's unrelenting confirmation bias, I don't think they'd ever let me hear them. They'd ever let them hear me.
Yeah.
We're so sure that God doesn't want to talk to us that I don't think that we would hear God if God were talking to us.
Mm-hmm. That's where meditation comes in.
Okay, go ahead, Alma. This is where we give ourselves space.
I don't agree that we don't hear God. When we meditate, very often at the end of the meditation, I have a totally different outlook to where I started.
True that.
And I have answers.
True that. Yeah.
Not every time, but
you can't get the results without buying a ticket. Like it works.
You've got to listen as well as talk.
Amen. Speaking of Hannah, you're on mute though.
Shoot. Sorry. Well, I was thinking that what surprised me about the God email exercise was how quickly and naturally a response came up in me.
Surprise.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be hard, and when I started, I was trepidatious about it, and then it just came out of me like, oh, it's this very natural response. So I'd say what I took away was the divine is actually within reach at all times if you just are willing to access it.
Amen. And so is and I'll add to that.
On the big screen.
But and you can say that God is within our reach at all times, but you can also say that peace is within our reach, love is within our reach, kindness is within our reach at all times. And that's what we're called to do. So here's gonna it was on a different piece of okay. Self-kindness jamboree. Remember I told you we were going to come back to the kindness part? Here it is. The self-kindness jamboree. If you were to do something in the next 24 hours that was self-kindness jamboree, give me an example of one thing that you could possibly do. I'm not saying you're going to do it, but what's the thing you could possibly do towards self-kindness in the next 24 hours? Just shoot me out something.
Make cookies.
Can we also eat cookies?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's inherent in the sentence.
Eat cookies. All right, give me some other things. What else could we do?
Pay my bills.
Oh, pay the bills.
Oh, no.
Well, no, that would make you feel that pay the bills so that you have one less thing to do, actually get to that thing you needed to do. What else could you do that's self-kindness?
Work in the garden.
Nice. Give me some others.
Make music.
Oh, you both said that at the exact same time.
Yay.
That's so cute.
Some soups for the freezer.
Freeze soups.
Yeah.
Sing songs.
Okay, now.
That teeny so it doesn't get any bigger.
clean my room.
You clean mine too?
Clean room. So I want you to think about yourself for a second. What is one thing that you know you do that you could just like, hey, I'm going to drink an extra liter of water because I know I feel better if I do that. Give me a really simple one, and I'll tell you why you want to come up with a really simple one, is it's going to wind up being your homework. So what's one really simple thing you can do?
Read the library book.
How long are you reading a library book for?
As long as it takes.
Finish the library book.
Until you're done.
Okay.
Smile
Brush
at
my,
the
brush my teeth.
Oh, that's good. So here's what I want you to do. You have all these choices. Well, the only one that you can't... Well, you could eat cookies before you make cookies, I guess. You can.
Yeah.
You can get your own cookies. What I want to ask you to do is right now, and I know this from electioneering, is that you need an exact time. Because if you know what time you're going to go to the polls, is a better chance that you're actually going to go to the polls. I want you to tell me right now at what time you're going to do what thing. And we're going to have 51 different people, plus whoever is there. Oh, hi, people on Facebook. Whoever's on Facebook. I want everyone to do something in the next 24 hours. So if I call your name, you could say, hey, I am going to blank at blank o'clock. Y'all ready?
Yeah.
You're going to blank at blank o'clock. Everyone has an answer? Let me see your hand if you have an answer. You ready to do? You got something ready? All right, fantastic. You know what that means? You don't have to say it out loud. You can just do that thing at whatever time. Whatever time that is. I want to go back and come back to one thing, which was, it was a little bit weird for me to be honest enough to tell you that I totally hallucinated that y'all were assholes. And that, I feel like I owe it to our relationship, me to a group, to apologize that, like, that was on me. Maybe I'm going a little too far there. But boy, I was so mad at you last week, and it was nothing you had done. So I feel like I wanted to swing back on that, just to hit that note one more time. We all do this, and if I could preach any piece of it out, it would be when you find that you're doing that, just immediately apply all the kindnesses you can. Okay. Thanks, gang, for showing up today. We'll do this again next week. Oh, September 10th. Please keep... I didn't make my announcements. September 10th, I need you to please show up. Well, you don't have to. But if you want to show up, I'm running a high holiday service, a Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. It's going to be live in person and live on Zoom. Details. Alex, did you put the links in the chat?
I posted,
There should be 2 or 3 links today.
let's see.
And I've titled the service, God Wants Me to Tell You a Few Things, I Think. So it should be, and they're letting me use First Christian, beautiful, beautiful church downtown Portland here in Venetian. I forgot what kind of Venetian style it is, but it's just gorgeous. Anyway, all right, so that's there. The link's there. No, not that, Alex. The other parts of the announcements. It should say here. I have it.
Not sure which one you're asking for.
I got it. All right, so if you look in the chat, you'll see how to get a copy of the God Experiments. If you want to do spiritual direction without actually having to divulge to another human being what you're doing, there are 26 different exercises you can do. My thoughts about God, to have you think your thoughts about God. Rosh Hashanah services, there's the link right in there. Please tell your friends. Folks, please tell your friends. Please tell your friends. Thank you. Tell your friends. Thank you. Forward the newsletter. The last few newsletters have been pretty on point. Please forward those to people. And please donate, because that helps this whole thing to run. Think of this as your... I don't like the phrase house of worship, because I don't really know what the worship is. That part's weird, but think of it as a religious organization. 9 o'clock, we switch over. Alex, you are hosted we move over to donuts. I love how many people stay afterwards, but if you don't want to stay, you do not need to. We're going to mosey along. Let's say goodbye to our friends on Facebook. Say goodbye to the people on Facebook.
Bye.
Bye, Facebook people.